Well, anybody that has ever listened to the podcast knows that I'm shit at introductions. So, everybody, Chloe, everybody. How are you?
Hello. Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. So I guess everyone is up late with Glenn and Chloe. This is a new thing that we're doing.
How exciting, hey?
Yeah, so very, very casual Wednesday night banter. How about that?
I like it.
And let's tell people a bit about yourself. So you are from, you want to go ahead and reveal?
Yeah, sure. I'm from Geelong, Australia.
I didn't mean that. I meant your podcast.
Oh!
And
You
your
mean the
address
reason
is?
why we're here? Sure.
Yeah. So we want your phone number. We want your address.
You can find me at. Okay, cool. So I'm one half of a duo, a podcasting team, mother-daughter. We have our own podcast about movies, basically. So, because she had me really young, so I say that we grew up together. So when we watched movies together, it kind of felt like we were watching them together for the first time, but really she was introducing them to me. And I just thought it would be really fun to go back and revisit those movies, 20 years later, 10 years later, and just see how they hold up. And if we still enjoyed them as much as we, have them hyped up in our heads to be. So that's basically the premise.
And it's movie night with the Ritchie girls.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
So for this first video that we're doing, let's just get to know each other, I guess, and let everybody get to know you and just fire off some random questions, maybe.
Sounds good.
Now, I always do this in videos where I have a little panic attack and just have to make sure I am recording. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We're good? Okay, great.
Well, I'll go first, just regarding your podcast.
Sure.
When did it start? And you kind of answered the question. Where did it spring from?
Well, it's a different place that it sprang from to where it ended up. So, I basically like to watch a lot of movies, and I do it at home. And my husband is the complete opposite. Could not give a shit about movies. Oh, can we swear? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. He couldn't give a crap about movies, and I would be sitting there on the couch saying, oh my God, at this part, that's what happened. And oh my God, and he broke his leg and it's insane and you can see it in his face and yada, yada, yada. And my husband was like, I don't care. I don't care. Tell someone who cares. He's like, you know what you should do? Start a podcast. And I'm just like, oh, actually, that's not a bad idea. But I kind of didn't want to do it by myself. So I roped mum into it.
You kind of find your people when you start a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Which is very cool. I love that you just asked me can we swear, and I said yes, and then you said crap.
Yeah, that's just my personality in a nutshell.
I gave you full reign. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm gonna take that on board.
Well, you're answering all my questions in your sort of introduction, but where did your love of movies come from? Was it your mum? Did she plant the seed?
I think she did. She planted the seed, definitely, but I kind of grew into it myself and kind of developed my own style and what I like to watch and what sort of interested me. And a lot of it was, I was so intrigued at how it all came together and how it all happened. And I would watch these movies over and over and over and over again until I kind of figured it out and I could see the flaws and be like, okay, so it's not a real place. People actually do this. I want to do this. Now, obviously, I haven't ended up doing that, but I can still appreciate it from this point of view. So, that's basically it.
Cool. What about me?
Yeah. What about you?
In regards to where my love of it came from?
Yeah.
I was just drawn to it. I guess earliest memory I have of watching movies is probably 2 years old. And wow. I remember going to the cinemas to see E.T. at that age. And I remember vividly, actually, it was the Frankston cinemas. And
nice.
we were in the front row for some reason, but that was perfect because as a kid, I laid on the carpet and then looked up at the screen.
Yeah,
It was sort of-
nice.
and that's the moment that it clicked that I just love this big thing that has stories on it. And then you can skip forward, I guess, and trying to think what the next memory. Like, I have all these memories from the 80s of going to see Ghostbusters with my parents and going to see the Neverending Story. And Neverending Story was a clicker because I remember when you've seen it, obviously. Yes. So when Gmork, the dog, the wolf character comes out of the cave,
Mm-hmm.
That terrified me, and I jumped over the seat and sat behind my dad. And so many of my sort of early memories are, which I think I've said to you in chat before, just chasing that feeling of like that terror and how fun it felt to be scared in an environment where you're completely safe.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And then just like, through the years, my parents introduced me to inappropriate movies from a really young age and had discussions with me. If I felt scared, they would explain it to me. And if I, wasn't coping in any way, shape or form, they would just sort of pause it, explain what movie making was, that, that person didn't die or that person's a stunt person, that kind of stuff. And I've loved it ever since.
That's perfect. I've been doing that with my son too. And it's really fascinating because you're still in that world, but they have a concept of like, oh, okay, so it's not real, but it's still kind of happening. So the magic's still kind of alive. So it's really fun to see from my perspective as well. So from what your parents would have been seeing with you, I can kind of see that, and it's really exciting.
Because and because I've had that upbringing, I don't have a problem introducing kids to stuff that's a little bit mature. There's obviously limits and all that kind of stuff, but if you can rationalize it with them and you can have a discussion, then that's all that matters. Like, I've got 2 stepkids and I raised them on some really inappropriate stuff. But like we have that conversation. Just trying to think of what scared the shit out of them from a really young age. Even stuff like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that kind of thing. Like I remember just the pilot episode terrified them, and that was sort of their first exposure to vampires. And that pilot episode, the vampires are pretty nasty,
Yeah.
So
yeah. If you want to stick on Buffy for a second, just for 1 second, I will tell you how so unhorror I am, because I I can't remember. I was maybe about 9 or 10, and I turned on the TV and an episode of Buffy was on. I was like, oh, I've always wanted to, watch this. Let me see what it's like. And there was this episode, and there was something on her roof, and it was like a furry cocoon type thing, and it dropped onto her bed and like started chasing her. I was done. I didn't watch Buffy. I shit you not, I only watched Buffy fully through for the first time 2 years ago because I couldn't get my head around it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how was that revisit? Like, did you love it?
I've watched it through about 5 or 6 times again.
Yeah. So you're a horror fan, just don't know it. You are.
I need to know what's happening for me to enjoy it. If there is a suspense and there's a builder, I can't deal. I think, and I'll tell you what, I know kind of where it stems back from. I watched Jeepers Creepers, and Jeepers Creepers is still to this day probably the only horror movie I can really watch. But I was watching it with my mates when I was about 12, maybe 13. We were in the dark. We were in my bedroom. We were watching Jeepers Creepers, and my stepdad thought it was a really fun thing to do to kick in the door with a chainsaw and just absolutely make me shit my pants. Yeah. I think that's where it stems from.
I used to do that with our kids when they had sleepovers all the time. I would be outside with a stick on the window, like, and then like they think, okay, good, you got us. That was terrifying. Then they'd go to bed and they'd pull the doona back, and Chucky was under there.
Like, oh my god!
Love it.
Oh gosh. Looking back, I can say that's funny. Yeah.
It's called parenting.
Yes. Yeah, I do need some tips on that kind of stuff. So thank you. I'll write that down. Yes.
That's hilarious. Actually, speaking of scary movies, we did an episode this week on spoof movies, and you covered Scary Movie.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting about you covering Scary Movie is the fact that you don't like horror films that much. So I'm wondering, like, how many of the horror movie references just went like over your head?
I wouldn't know. I don't think I. I have seen Scream.
Mhm.
And I haven't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer. So, I mean, I got a lot of the Scream jokes.
Yeah.
Probably not so much of the other things.
I guess it doesn't really matter because, for example, Flying High or Airplane, a lot of people
Uh-huh.
get enjoyment. A lot of people love that, but they've never seen the airport movies or
Yeah.
0 Hour or any of those. So yeah, they're just funny.
It's just stupid fun, and it's just I have a thing. Comedy is just my thing. I love to laugh, and I love watching other people laugh. So watching somebody watch a comedy and laughing is like that gives me the most oxytocin.
Mhm.
So yeah, watching Scary Movie, even though I don't get all of the references, literally makes me wet my pants when I watch it. So that's what's important to me out of that movie. I do enjoy like how it's based off horror movies though, because it gives it a different spin that I'm not used to when I watch
Yeah.
comedy. So yeah.
Maybe we should change the name of your segment to oxytocin, whatever the fuck that word was you said.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know big words. Um, it's just the type of person I am.
What's the biggest word you know?
Oh, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Actually, I want to show you something funny. Now you've said that.
Oh yeah.
Just bear with me. This is where the casual part of the show comes into play because it just
That's all
takes me
right.
time to find. Takes me time to find what I want to show you. There it is. Try and read this out if I put it to camera.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
XPO logistics.
Expialogistics. Did you just screenshot that today?
No, I sent it to my wife the other day
Oh.
for some reason.
God, I love stupid memes. They make me laugh too.
Yeah, and you're a TikToker like I am.
Oh my God, I resisted it for so long.
It's an addiction.
In the first maybe 2 weeks that I downloaded that app, I don't think my family saw me. I was just obsessed. There's so much good stuff on there, honestly. I think my friends got sick of me.
I spent weeks making videos.
Yeah, I tried to make a video. I couldn't figure it out. How did you figure it out?
I don't know. That's a good question. By accident.
That thing is like it's an algorithm in itself. I honestly don't know how it works.
Yeah, but for anyone that goes looking for me, I've like privatized my account, so don't even bother.
Find him. Find him.
Okay. You want to? Yeah, go on.
Me next.
Right.
I need to know about this sequel fascination. I need to know because from my perspective so far, yeah, exactly. I'm the opposite. So this is like we're quite similar in a lot of ways, but I need to know this.
Okay, sequels. Well, it's number 2 sequels, which is sort of in in a way it's become a character on the show. Like I'm just known for the guy that loves bad sequels, which I do. I do enjoy bad sequels, but I mean obviously I recognize when they're terrible. But I think number 2 is my fascination, and if you've never seen, I do have a whole wall here of number 2s. Can you see that?
My goodness, yes.
They're every single one of those is a number 2.
Right.
I guess what I love about number 2s is you've already got like a foundation of a movie with the first film. So naturally the studio or whoever wants to cash in on that and sort of make some extra money. But the creative side of it is quite often the filmmakers want to do something new and different to the original film. And so part 2s, more often than not, kind of use the foundation and go off in a completely different direction, and they quite often break the law of these films. And then it's number 3. When number 2's fail, number 3 have to come back and rein it in and go back to the original formula. So, for example, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I know you may not have seen it, but a lot of fans hate it because it breaks the whole concept and law of what Freddy Krueger can or can't do. And I like that because it is so audacious and tenacious, and they had to bring it all the way back to the original mythology with number 3. So I just like number 2s because they always stick out like a sore thumb. They're the black sheep of the franchise. And I don't know, I like revisiting characters. You know,
I can see that.
I mean, you enjoy Scary Movie 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, so I have the exceptions to the rule. So I'm not a fan of sequels. I get really, really invested in characters and I get really invested in the storylines. So when they do deviate, I get a little frustrated by it because I just love the storyline so much and I feel like it's doing a little bit of a dishonor. That's how I kind of see it.
No, I get that.
But my exceptions to the rule, I do have exceptions to the rule, the Scary Movie franchise being one, because they're just dumb and funny. Terminator 2, which is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. And that's
which does deviate. Number two deviates dramatically from the original character of Ace Ventura.
It does deviate, but I feel like the storyline was so much better.
Yeah, look, I love number 2, but it is like that's a good example of why I love number 2s because it took the original and just the original I wouldn't call a slapstick comedy, but the second one is 100% slapstick. Yeah. So the fact that it's that kind of juxtaposition, I like that. But I get what you're saying about characters because I'm the same. Like I invest in characters and I love characters, and quite often though, it's not until you get to a third movie that you realize that they did deviate the character. In a lot of cases, number 2 is just an expansion on the character, and it's not until sort of a bit later on you realize that they strayed. I don't know. It's just one of those.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Things. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Famously on the show, my favorite sequel of all time is Caddyshack 2.
Yeah, that's a strange one for me.
I'm obsessed with it, and it's purely nostalgic. It's one of those films I watched as a kid, over and over and over. And I get as much value out of it now as I did then.
That's good. That's how you know that movie has really stuck with you because you can watch that over and never be sick of it.
There's no doubt that probably 90% of the people watching this video will disagree with me.
Whatevs.
Furiously.
Whatevs.
Yeah, and as I've told Ben on the show before that I do have a concept to write a third one. So, maybe one day.
Hey. I always did want to be an actress. So, if you're looking for casting, there you go.
It's a meta. What was it called? I can't remember what I called it because it's been a while since I've looked at I did treatment on paper. It's been a while, but
Hey.
I think it was called Caddyshack 2 Part 2. No, Caddyshack 3 Part 2. Yeah.
That's funny.
Thank you. Coming from someone with what is it, the oxy whatever? I appreciate
Oxytocin, yeah.
Oxytocin. Excellent.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite movie?
It's a tie. And it took me a long time to figure out that it was a tie, but I've had to come to terms with they're just equal for me. And that's Goonies and Stand By Me.
Staples. Good stuff. They have something in common.
Adventure movies.
Yeah, they have a lot of things in common. No, but they have mass vomiting in common. So you've got the puking scene in Stand By Me with the pie contest.
Yeah.
And then Chunk talks about when he was at the cinema and he made everyone spew.
I've never made that connection. That's brilliant.
There might be many more films that you love. Like Naked Gun has the massive spewing scene.
Oh, why do people are so fascinated by spew? It's not fun in real life. Don't find the humor.
No, but it's like guys. We always find it really funny when other guys get kicked in the nuts.
Yeah. Okay.
But we don't want to get kicked in the nuts ourselves.
Fair enough.
But it's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yep. It's like
one
girls.
Of the staples.
We don't need to see boobs on the screen. We've got them ourselves, but we can appreciate a nice pair when we see one,
Yeah, totally. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes, I think we can. It's a universal thing.
Man, this video is off to a flying start. We're going to have fun with this series.
Great. Million views. Million.
Yeah. Checking in 6 months, we'll have like 20.
Oh gosh.
What's a random question?
I
What's a
want to know.
TV? Okay,
I want to know what
go
your
for it.
favorite sci-fi.
Wow. That's a really good question. Well, maybe Enemy Mine, which is a movie that Wolfgang Peterson made straight after Neverending Story with Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr. That's a really good one.
Right.
But that's just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's others. Existenz is a good one, the David Cronenberg film. A little bit sci-fi, body horror with Jude Law. That's a good one.
How do you know all these films that I just don't know the names of? I'm going to have to start writing these down because I need to watch them.
I don't know. It's called Not Having a Life.
No. Movies are life. It's fine.
Okay. You're the first host I've had that would actually say that to my face.
No one understands.
Nah, Ben would agree. He's got no life.
There you go.
Ben, love you, mate. He's probably gonna cry.
Oh, not on our first video.
Sci-fi movies. Isn't it funny when sometimes someone says something to you and ordinarily just in any given moment you would have 100 titles off the top of your head and then you put on the spot and you can't think of one.
I only asked because after comedy, sci-fi is my next favorite genre. So I had to ask.
Surely you love the Firefly series.
I have seen the first episode.
Okay. Pursue it. Like, keep going.
One season? Had one season?
One season and one movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the movie
With,
is Serenity. It's great.
Oh, I have heard of that. There you go. I've heard of one.
Yes. Fuck. All right. Now the pressure's on. That's your favorite genre. I've got to pick one.
Second favorite. It's all right.
Well,
not too much pressure.
Well, here's a sequel that I think is incredible. A sci-fi sequel, 2010, the year we made contact, which is a sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Wow. Okay.
It's an amazing film. It's got John Lithgow. It's got Helen Mirren, Bob Balaban, Roy Schneider from Jaws. It's incredible.
Right. I'll get on that.
Yep. Have you seen the 2001?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yep.
That's a head fuck. Have you got an intruder? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, my dog's pissing me off. It's like chasing a ball. He sits and farts on me all night long, but as soon as I want to do something, he's just like, I'm full of energy now. Anyway.
It's a bit like having a husband.
Yeah. And then 3 kids on top of that.
What's your favorite dog movie?
I don't generally watch dog movies because I'll just cry in the opening credits. I can't do dog movies. But if I have to choose one, it would be Red Dog.
Red Dog's a good one.
That's a good one. Beethoven was a really good one when I was a kid. I did like the Beethoven. Haven't seen the sequels. But yeah, if I have to choose one, Red Dog it'll be.
There's going to be a lot of finger pointing going on here.
The only thing is, and people might come to know this about me, I have a thing with the Australian accent. I don't do well watching it on screen. It makes me... Yeah.
Are you aware of the podcast you've just got involved with?
Yes. Yep.
Mate, I love nothing more than Aussie films.
I am slowly coming around. I can watch them, but it's just like I just watch us like barely move our mouths, but words come out and it sounds all right, but it just sounds bogan and just makes me cringe a little bit.
It's a talent.
Yeah.
Our good friends Umbrella Entertainment put out so many good Aussie films on Blu-ray, and Malcolm's coming out. If you've never seen Malcolm, check it out. And the Big Steal. The Big Steal is possibly, I think it's my favorite Aussie film, and it's a rom-com with Ben Mendelsohn and Claudia Carvin, and it's just a teenage rom-com. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love the castle and the dish, and all those amazing
The most
Aussie
bogan ones of
classics.
all.
Absolutely. Well, the castle, funnily enough, was filmed just down the street from where I grew up, so that was
Yeah.
I think it holds a special place for me there just because of that. And yeah, so I'm coming around, but they do irk me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you this before. What if there was one TV show that you could turn into a film? What would it be?
That 70s Show.
Really?
100%. $1,000,000%.
Wasn't that okay? That's like essentially Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. Yes. I would. I don't care if it was the worst film ever made. I'd watch it on repeat. I'd love it.
Did you see the spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused called Everybody Wants Some?
No. You and your bloody sequels. I'm gonna.
It was my favorite. I think it was 2015. That was my favorite film of that year. It's so good.
Is Dazed and Confused the one with McConaughey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good. So
Yep.
good.
Check out the sequel. It's so good.
All right, I'll check out the sequel. All right. Don't expect anything.
Next week, report back.
Ah, fine. Homework. Come
on. Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
I know you love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that it? Yeah, no, I love it. Everything about it. Everything.
Yeah.
I can't fault it at all. Even though today I saw a fault, it's still perfect to me. I rewatched the first one today.
The first one's my favorite. Do you have a favorite in the original trilogy?
When it first came out, my favorite was the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think because it features Merry and Pippin just a little bit more, and I love them as a duo. Love them.
Yep.
And yeah, so I think the second one was my probably the second one is still my favorite.
It's all about number
and
one for me. See, you'd love a sequel.
I wouldn't classify it as a sequel, though. Would you classify it as a sequel if it's a trilogy, though? Come on, hang on. You would? Really?
Well, it's the second one of 3.
But it's following the same storyline, though.
What about Back to the Future 2?
Fine. Fine. All right, fine. I like a sequel. Okay.
I like them all. Do you like the Hobbits?
Yeah, I didn't like them as much, but yeah, I definitely like them. Yeah.
Considering that we did a whole episode of the show on spoof movies, they have not done a spoof on Lord of the Rings yet. Not a proper one.
Yeah. I don't think I'd watch it, though, because I like the movies too much.
Isn't that the point, though? Like, that's the whole reason you would watch it.
Yeah, but don't judge me for this either. I also liked the Twilight movies, and I wouldn't watch the spoofs on those either, because I really, like, as a teenage girl, like the inner teenage girl in me still loves those characters for some ungodly known reason. So watching someone take the piss out of those characters, I think, would be a little bit heartbreaking for me.
Well, they've done it.
I know. I've seen little YouTube clips. So I'm just like, I'm going to have to turn that off.
Okay, well, let's just add a couple more sequels you like to your list then. I'm not a hater of Twilight. I did really love the first one when it came out. Like, that was good. I felt like that was cut straight out of the book of John Hughes, with a sort of horror take. But the sequels didn't do it for me. But like, I don't know. I watched them all with my family, particularly my wife and my daughter, and they got a lot of joy out of them ad nauseum.
Yep. Hey, when you're a teenage girl watching like Taylor Lautner and Robert Pattinson take their shirts off and go all sparkly and wolfy and sweaty, what's not to like? Like, you could just cut everything else from that movie and it would be fine.
That's right. We should do that. We should do it on our YouTube channel. Just the sparkle cut.
Just the sparkle cut. Okay.
See, that's a funny thing. I've had lots of conversations over the years, particularly with customers when I had a video store. Um, like Twilight is horror, and people don't agree. Like people say, "Oh, it's not horror; it's a romance, it's a drama, it's but it's steeped in horror,
Because it's got vampires and werewolves and what have you, and
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the thing is, like Dracula is more romantic than Twilight ever was, and that's known as a famous horror film
yeah,
story.
yep.
So you would be on that. You'd be on that that train, the horror train. with that one?
I'd see where you're coming from. Yeah, completely.
Wow,
I'm coming around. I'm coming around. You're opening my eyes a little bit that I like sequels and horror. So
The door's locked. Should I open it? No. Terrible. Awful.
I gotta go.
That's actually we probably are about out of time.
Oh, are we?
How quickly did that go?
Oh man, I didn't even ask you who your favorite superhero was because that's important too.
Well, we can keep going. There is actually no time limit.
All right, well, tell me that because I need to. I have a favorite, and people always give me shit for it, so I need to.
Okay, superhero, because I'm not a fan of superhero movies.
Well, it can be
Don't
like
like them.
MCU, DC, like outside of that too. If there is like a superhero type of character that you are drawn to.
I like the horror ones. Like on 2 episodes ago on the podcast, we talked about those films. There's one called Faust or Faust, Love of the Damned, which is one I like. It's a bit like Hellboy, bit like those any of those ones where they make a pact with the devil. Spawn, another one, that kind of stuff.
Okay,
What about you?
cool. Very generic, basic bitch answer. Spider-Man.
And is that because of the men that are underneath the mask?
No, I knew nothing about Spider-Man until Tobey Maguire opened my eyes and I just fell in love with Spider-Man. I thought he was just the coolest dude. He was funny. He wasn't rich like Tony Stark, or not that I knew who Tony Stark was back in the Tobey Maguire days, but like Batman or whatever. I just didn't feel like they were actual superheroes. When I saw Spider-Man, I saw that he could see the humor out of things, and he was trying to make a living as well as be a superhero and save people's lives. And I thought all of that combined.
Yeah, much more every day.
Exactly, every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. And I think if you had to say like what's your favorite superhero movie, I'd probably say Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah. I still prefer the first one, so don't get me wrong there. All right. But but who's your favorite Spider-Man? Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, or Andrew Garfield?
I think Tom Holland's the best one. But I do think I like Tobey Maguire in the first 2 films. He became a bit of a pussy in number 3, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire number 1, and then Tom Holland number 2.
And from a horror perspective, there's also the Sam Raimi factor that he directed those films and he's horror. And our website is called fakeshemp.net, and Fakeshemp is in every single Sam Raimi film, including Spider-Man. So
wait, tell me what that is, because
Okay. Fakeshemp goes right back to the Three Stooges. Like you had Curly, Moe, Shemp, Larry. And when Shemp died, they were still contracted to make, I think, 4 more films. So they got an actor to put a wig on and had his back to the camera, and he was the fake Shemp, right? And so then cut to like 30 years later when Sam Raimi was making Evil Dead, any actor that was in the film without their face to the camera, in the credits at the end of the film, it was always Fake Shemp 1, Fake Shemp 2, Fake Shemp 3. So in every single Sam Raimi film, including Spider-Man's, there's Fake Shemps in the credit. And so when I originally kickstarted my website, I wasn't a legitimately sort of accredited writer or anything like that. And I considered myself a bit of a poser. So I was like the fake Shemp of writing. So that's sort of where the name came from.
I love that.
Yeah, well, there you go. So you've already tied in with the Fake Shemp brand.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. That's perfect.
Yes.
Oh my
awesome. Gosh. Hey, this was heaps of fun.
Yes, it was. Thank you for inviting me on. It was nice to do.
Inviting you on. We're doing this every week, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yeah, true. Well, inviting me to do it, you know what I mean? Like, late. I'm tired.
It's Up Late with Glenn and Chloe.
Yeah.